Although a recent story by Dan Slott changed a lot of the continuity of what is expressed in this video, we all know such is the way of comic books. Constantly changing, retconning, and updating character storylines and origins is what keeps the stories new and different. But the key factor is, they almost always go back to the status quo. So with that in mind, here's my outdated, but probably soon to be redated 2 cents on Franklin Richards. Man, Franklin Richards is a trip. He is the firstborn child of Mr. and Mrs. Fantastic, earning them the title of Marvel's first family. Hell, I think he's the firstborn child of any superhero. We're talking 1968, the Fantastic Four annual number 6. A few browser searches didn't turn up anything to the contrary, but if you know different, please let me know down in the comments. Because of the cosmic storm accident that mutated both of his parents' biology, also granting them their powers, young Franklin was born with mutated DNA. Now, this is the tidbit that was recently changed. You see, in my mind, up until very recently, this made him a mutant like the X-Men, Xavier, Magneto, Apocalypse, and even Namor. But that's a topic for another time. Franklin was born with altered DNA, meaning that he was born mutated, therefore mutant. Peter Parker, Matt Murdock, Fantastic Four, Inhumans, all mutated, not mutant. I know that's a silly differential, but them's the breaks. Well, not entirely. There's that pesky part about the X gene, which up until very recently was never an issue for Franklin, seeing as how he has been an X-Man numerous times throughout the publication. But to explain this little issue, we need to go back and talk about his powers and their side effects. Franklin Richards possesses psionic abilities, such as concussive force blasts, telepathy, telekinetics. He also has the ability to alter matter and energy on both a cosmic and molecular level. What do I mean by that? Well, he's known as what's called a high-power reality warper. But let me get one thing clear. Wanda Maximoff is a reality warper. She can alter your perception of the perceived reality, which is basically illusions and mind control. Let's take WandaVision, for example. Spoilers! The town that she controls, they already exist. These are not new people created out of nothing. She controls their minds, okay? Even Agatha Harkness is possessing a dead body and not creating new human beings. But Franklin can. He is much more than a reality warper. He can create entire universes with billions of worlds and trillions of life forms. And it's not a spell. It doesn't require concentration to sustain it. He can will these entire universes into existence and leave them to operate and continue at their own accord, and that is precisely what he and his father and the Molecule Man does to recreate the Marvel Universe after its collapse. Now, with all this immense power, keep in mind, for the majority of the time, he is a child, with the physical strength of a kid his age at the time. But with the ability to change every single molecule of his body so he can rapidly age or de-age himself to protect himself, or even render himself flippin' nigh invulnerable. This level of power frightens the boy, honestly. He is terrified of what his abilities could be at full strength, which is what leads him to his 2 biggest self-defense mechanisms. The first is the Franklin Richards age paradox. How old is Franklin Richards? Now, there are entire websites devoted to solving that constantly changing riddle. You might just assume that Marvel editorial keeps him the same age to keep the greater universe from aging, but that's not the case. His little sister Valeria has aged, along with Alex and other Power Pack members. The real twist for me was when on Franklin's 6th birthday, he turned 5. The cake, before he sees it, has 6 candles. But the moment he opens his eyes, there are only 5, meaning that it is Franklin himself that is de-aging and keeping himself from growing up. The biggest drawback to Franklin's abilities is that he suffers from extreme power drain. Often after displaying massive amounts of power and exerting himself, Franklin will experience long periods of power drain, where his abilities will effectively go dormant. After seeing the strength and nearly endless power an adult Franklin uses in Johnathan Hickman's Fantastic Four, who was able to raise a dead Galactus and then command him, I am convinced that the power drains are psychosomatic. That having the ability to alter his physiology might give him the ability to remove his own powers or lock them away himself using his telekinetic ability. Every time he does something big, he freaks out and he runs back to the safety of being a normal kid whose parents are superheroes. So to go back to the whole X-gene thing, Franklin is currently in a bout of power drain. He is currently just a normal kid who was denied entry to live with the X-Men because he isn't a mutant, because he doesn't currently possess an X-gene. So the current retcon is that he was born with powers, but not an X-gene. Apparently, he uses his powers to alter his genetic structure and give himself the X gene, and now that he is powerless, his biology is reverted back to normal? Okay. Only time will tell, but I'd certainly wager that his powers will return, along with his X-Men status. There's a lot more that I have to say about Franklin, but I'll save that for another time. To sum up my 2 cents, deep down, I've always seen Franklin Richards as an allegory for someone with a Peter Pan complex, de-aging himself out of the fear of growing up and achieving his potential. For some of us, the only thing holding us back is ourselves. So let's wake up those dormant powers and show the world what we can do.